Here's percolating. So far, no messages. Where's your iPad?
Is it
Welcome
live?
to Drawing Nature In. We are live for more Tuesday evening fun. Today, we are speaking on the topic of spiritual currency, the two spiritual currencies of time and attention.
So let's just do a little meditation.
Meditation here. Let's get this camera angle. Look at me.
You want to do it or you want me to do it?
You can go ahead and do it.
All right. So just come into the present moment by taking a few long, deep breaths. Try to come into the present moment by focusing on your feet. In case you're thinking about what happened today, just focus on your feet, the feeling of your feet against the floor. I'm just going to put my hand on my heart to connect my heart to the present moment. Heart chakra is in the middle of my chest. When I put the palm of my hand over my heart chakra, I am increasing the volume. And focusing on the soles of my feet so that I'm present, trying to release all thoughts of the day, just listening to sounds outside or sounds inside would be a good anchor point to just get quiet. And then now just to invite the Creator into our workings tonight, asking that we be given divine inspiration to formulate a message to carry to the world that would be helpful during this time that we're in while we discuss spiritual currency. And so it is.
Yes.
Almost went to sleep.
Me too.
I'm
Well, I
still
get for
so tired from,
yeah, me
I
too.
think, having
That was a
tremendous amount of focus for 6 months and now not
yeah.
having that much focus. So I knew this was going to happen, but I didn't realize it was going to be this much of a
It happens. Just easy to get tired, I guess. I don't know.
spiritual currency.
Yeah. Time and attention. Here. Time and attention. You know, there's some sayings that are good analogies for the two spiritual currencies, time and attention. There's, you know, the saying spending time and also the saying paying attention. Whatever endeavor we put our time and attention towards, we end up getting something in return for that investment. This return can come in the form of knowledge, understanding, skills, expertise, and empowerment if we invest our spiritual currencies wisely. That could also, depending on what you spend your time on, could result in like depression and overwhelm and some of these other more negative emotions. So therefore, we should seek to improve the quality of our attention by placing it upon information that is capable of improving both ourselves and the human condition as a whole. Such an effort would also constitute a valuable investment of our time. You know, some questions to ask ourselves is, what are we spending our time on? What am I paying attention to? Most importantly, what kind of quality am I getting in return for these investments of my spiritual currency? And so that is, you know, pretty important. Explanation there. It's like, I mean, you could spend all your time laying in bed, sleeping, and you'd just probably get all depressed because you wouldn't, and sick and just like eventually die. Just because you'd be like ignoring life essentially if you just laid in bed all the time. That wouldn't be a very good way of spending your spiritual currencies. The nice thing about this type of currency is everyone's allotted the same amount of time. You know, there's no like elite group of people that magically has more time than normal people or poor people. You know, it's like it's fair. Everyone gets the same amount of time, you know, per day, that they can choose with their free will what they place their attention on. You know, and that could be, you know, there's a billion things that one could spend their time and attention on. The main point though is it constructive time and attention, or is it just kind of wasted time and attention? Or it could be a balance of both wasting time and actually having productive time. So, and this actually is very close to a famous or a quote that I like that says, procrastination is the natural assassin of opportunity. And that kind of falls in line with our topic tonight, because if you procrastinate, you're basically wasting time. And so opportunities that were there are no longer there potentially when you want them to be. Or, there's some things have a deadline, and if you don't make it to the deadline, it's over, and it's like, can't have any more. There's no more time to work on that stuff anymore, whatever it was. Like, we just recently had an art show that opened on the 1st of July, and we spent a lot of time and attention creating the artwork for that show. I'm sure myself, I could have probably had more art for that show had I spent my time and attention more wisely. I did have a decent amount of art for the show, so I'm still happy with what I had there. But, could have had more.
Are you serious?
I can definitely say that there's some time that I wasted, from when I first found out that I was going to be part of the art show to when the art show opened. There's definitely time that I could have, used more wisely that
You're
I
kidding.
wasted. But
Really, you think that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I don't think I did. I mean, I ended up with the same amount of pieces that you did, and I don't think I wasted any time at all. In fact, there's no way I could have done more.
Well, I just say that because I was unemployed, and there's definitely time that there's a couple days that I just slept all day, but maybe part of that was depression, but
Well, maybe it was just what you needed to do. I mean, the thing is painting time
sometimes
is not
you
always...
do need to, sometimes sleep is important. And
well, but I mean,
rest.
sometimes you just have to gestate.
Right. I agree.
I mean, we're not a factory here.
No, sometimes we need rest. We need,
just gestation
to recharge. Time, Need to recharge. We need, something might come into our minds and inspire us, but sometimes that needs to percolate for a little while before we understand how to turn it into artwork.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I've just been spending some time listening to William Cooper. Do you know who that is? Milton William Cooper. Behold a Pale Horse. Oh, he's someone. He did something called Hours of Time in 1993. And I think Mark took some of his stuff from him. He knew what was going on in 1993. And he's talking about basically what's going on now. He knew. So I've been listening to that to try to glean some new insight from him.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also depressing. It's not depressing. I don't know what it does to me. It does something to me. So I can only take so much of that stuff.
How do
But
you know?
he's really good. He's a good because he's just a regular guy. I think he's just a regular guy, but he did a lot of study and figured out the old religion and what they're up to back in 1993. So,
Uh-huh.
and so yeah, it was interesting. There's like 50 shows. You can find them on YouTube. And he was killed in a gunfight with the cops. So eventually they had to get rid of him because he knew too much, I guess, probably.
Hmm.
But yeah, I was listening to some of that the other day, but it's just I feel like I might be inundated already with it. I've got to just take a step back here.
Right.
Yeah, I might be a little bit. It might be a little bit too much for me right now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I mean. I think it might be like we have to kind of say, oh, I don't know, I might have needed that rest to gestate so that I'm not just putting out more of the same message.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, time and attention, I mean, that's a whole thing though, that I think I was definitely taught. And I was taught it with regards to art in high school. I had this one really good art teacher in high school who taught us how to draw.
Mm-hmm.
And she did eventually use drawing on the right side of the brain, but before she did that, she taught us some other things that she knew. And
Mm-hmm.
it involved time and attention, like outside of class. Like you literally, I was taught how to keep a sketchbook and how to take the time necessary to learn how to become an artist.
Uh-huh.
It's not just wham bam and you're an artist. You can't do the thing that how we do things these days with most things. Like if you don't learn it in 5 minutes, you give up.
Mm-hmm.
Or or if an app does it for you. If an app doesn't do it for you, then you give up or something. It's probably the most important thing you could really learn is how to learn, how to apply yourself, how to pay time and attention to things,
Mm-hmm.
the patience required to do things right.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty
There's a lot that
valuable.
goes on there. There's a lot happening there, right?
Right. And I don't know that it's popular anymore to do that. I'm not sure that it's taught. I mean, if they're so busy teaching critical race theory in school, I don't know when they're going to have time to be spending time and attention on.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, critical race theory, I don't know. It's just like a weird made up thing, right?
It's a weird made up thing. Yes. But I mean, I just don't, I think, I just don't think, I think that like the spiritual currency. So what Bill Cooper is talking about is he is a Christian and he's saying that the dark occult is out to destroy Christianity, but I think he's mistaken because it's actually natural law that they're out to destroy. And
Mm-hmm.
spiritual currency is an aspect of natural law,
Mm-hmm.
paying time and attention. So you can see this in our culture that that they are the place of learning, which would be school, where you would probably learn how to pay time and attention to things.
Yeah.
They're not aren't being taught that anymore. Instead, we're being
Mhm.
taught how to be distracted. So you could pay
Right.
time and attention to the TV, that you're not going to get anything back from that except an addiction to the television, which, or
For
a
like,
thing.
yeah, like a psychological disorder.
Yeah, well, I mean, I have it where, you know, ultimately that's kind of what I did when I got home from the show. I just was like, okay, I gotta just watch some TV now. Gotta just give my brain over, which I knew what I was doing, and I was sad that I was gonna do it, but I was just so dead that I had to just do that until I became tired enough to go to sleep. But I mean, I know that that is programming, that my brain, like if I think back to what my mom would do, my mom was, you know, born in 1918. She would read until she was tired enough to go to sleep.
Uh-huh.
She would read.
Which
And so,
even that
which,
can be bad depending on what you're reading.
well, but it's more likely that if you
Yeah.
give yourself to reading, you will get something back from that spiritual currency of time and attention.
At least with reading, you still use your imagination a little more. You know, because you're imagining what the characters look like or what the world looks like that they're in. I mean, it describes it, but you still like, just even though it describes it, it's still my interpretation of that description is going to be different than yours. And, you know, when you watch a TV show, there's no room, not really any room for interpretation because it's all just laid out there for you. You know, you're not like, oh, in my head, the character Sally looks like this. On the TV, on a TV show, Sally just looks like the character Sally in the show. Like in the book, it might describe, oh, Sally is a woman with black curly hair. And then, but the way I imagine a woman with black curly hair is going to look different than what you imagine of a woman with black curly hair. But the thing is you're using your imagination there, you know, instead of just like with the TV, you just look at it, you know, there's no imagination at all. It's just like, it's all there. All the audio, all the video, visuals there. It's like weird to, because I got like a couple of years ago, I was into these like, I was looking into like all these books on tape kind of thing, you know?
Mm.
And like there's some authors that I had heard like them presenting on like a YouTube thing or like, you know, on something, you know, where I heard their voice and I heard their, you know, I could kind of, you know, recognize their voice. And then so I got like a book that was by one of these authors, but it wasn't the author reading the book. So it was like weird to me because it wasn't that, it was like a different person reading it. And it just like, it kind of bothered me for some reason. Like, 'cause I expect it to be the author's voice. I don't
Mhm.
know why, but so.
Right, but I mean, back to spiritual currency, though. I mean, so the idea of time and paying time and attention to something. Um, when you were listening to the audiobooks, do you feel like you were paying time and attention to that, something that was giving back to you?
Yes, because it was like nonfiction books that were like about spirituality and the cosmos and cosmology and uh, you know, ancient technology and civilizations and stuff like that. So I thought it was important, but like if I was listening to like a bunch of like weird fiction, like horror or something like that, I may not have had as much of a, I don't know, I wouldn't have as much intellectual I don't know. I guess I wouldn't know. I, I guess like listening to horror like novels all the time would be, I would consider like almost like poisoned information, whereas listening to, you know, stuff about cosmology and different science and different stuff like that would actually be more like useful information. Or like the horror novel may not have any information at all at all. It's just like a story that really the only thing that would do would maybe put me in a state of fear because of the what's happening in the story, or just that kind of like shock effect kind of stuff or whatever. But like, you know, because I feel like, you know, what we pay attention to, there's poisoned information and there's true information, you know. So we talk about this sometimes, like it's like far left politics and far right politics are all, that's all poisoned information. Pretty much politics in general is poisoned information.
Right. So if I was going to give my time and attention to something, I could put it towards something like I have begun to reorganize the house, and I started doing that yesterday, and but then I also had to be careful what I was thinking about while I was doing that too. So
Mm-hmm.
so I'm giving time and attention, and I'm trying to stay present in the moment, but my mind automatically goes into thinking about stuff while I'm doing that kind of a mundane task. So then I have to be super careful about what I'm thinking about, that it's not negative.
Yeah, like, are you
And
thinking about why you're mad at the writer of the television show you're watching the night before? Or like the character in the show, like, why didn't they act sooner or whatever? They could, like, so many lives were lost because they procrastinated or something like that, you know. That might be a waste of your thought space. But if you're like, I'm thinking about this concept for a new painting while I'm cleaning my house, that might be a better way to use that empty time where you're doing some menial task, but your mind doesn't stop. So, you know, it's being mindful of, oh, am I thinking about that? Or maybe you're thinking about what's the next, you know, most productive thing that you can do after you're done cleaning that portion of the house, you know, versus something that really has no merit in the present reality or even the future reality.
well, so the thing is, that's another thing I think that is a what would I call it? A mistake of civilization or whatever, is that just doing a menial task and thinking about something else while you're doing it. I actually tried pretty hard just to stick with what I was doing. I just tried to focus on what I was actually doing, which is another, I mean, this is another tactic that they have used to try to destroy our concentration.
Right. Like if you're like, oh, sorry, you can continue.
Oh, thanks. Just to get us to I mean, because I definitely am like this as an artist. Like I like to draw while I'm listening to something, but you know, I've heard in the old school ways of doing things, do one thing at a time, but I don't really understand that. As an artist, I don't understand that, but I think that it would probably be a it would be a
Mm-hmm.
of benefit if I could pay time and attention to the actual thing that I'm actually doing. Not, you know what I mean? Like not do two things
Mm-hmm.
at once. But I feel that this is a product of the cabal, like that they like us to be in the state where we can't pay attention to what we are actually doing. It's
Mm-hmm.
probably like a violation of the care principle,
Mm-hmm.
you know, to not be able to pay attention to what you are actually doing, because then you're not really caring about what you're actually doing at that exact moment. Instead,
Mm-hmm.
you're focused on something else.
Mm-hmm.
And so these are things that like right now, look, I'm doing it right now. But and that's just actually true. It's like as an artist, like I have found that I do much better work when I'm not paying attention to the actual thing I'm doing. So what is that about? You know, really, I don't know. I mean, but I'm not doing, if I was focused on painting something that was in front of me, I might be better if I was actually paying attention to that thing that I was painting. But since I'm doing intuitive painting, it's actually better for me to just let my hand paint and think about something else. But I mean, in terms of this subject matter that we're discussing, I think that is a kind
Mm-hmm.
of a violation of that subject matter.
Right. Yeah, it's like if you know, if you're cleaning, well, we'll keep it with that example. Like if you're cleaning up and organizing something, but you're thinking about something completely different, like some stupid TV show or something you're watching, then you might not actually end up really cleaning anything. You might just end up making you know, changing the location of the mess, or like, or you're thinking about something else while you're putting stuff, like reorganizing it, and so then you won't remember where you put any of the stuff.
Yeah, that happens.
So then like it's organized, but you don't know where anything is because you weren't paying attention to how you're organizing it, which can be problematic.
Yeah, but this is what I think the whole time and attention thing is. I mean, about being in the present, staying in the present moment with what you're actually doing. And I just think
Right.
it's definitely something that I don't think is being taught in school right now. Especially, I mean, if everything's being done on the computer, I mean, that's such a big separation between the person and their product. The product isn't even yours, really.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah. No.
it's interesting. So that's what I felt like Bill Cooper was really talking about, and this is, you know, what all of them talk about, that this age or whatever we're in right now, this time is about destroying the spiritual connection to your life, destroying the idea of the spiritual connection altogether
Mm-hmm.
as important.
Yeah.
I mean, and this is what, this is how they get people to work in slaughterhouses, you're
Or
pretty sure
to
that people,
join, police or military.
yeah, well, I mean, I'm not sure. Yeah, it'd be pretty hard to stay focused on your morals after you had given your moral compass over to your sergeant.
Right. Because your sergeant's like, go shoot these people over here. And you just say, yes, sir. And go shoot them. You don't make a moral decision like, hey, those are women and children.
No, I'm not going to do that.
I'm not going to do that because that's women and children. Or those guys aren't even armed. I'm not going to do that. They're
Yeah,
just
I'm not going to
civilians.
do that. I mean, I'm not going to do it because I'm not going to do it. How's that?
Yeah, exactly.
But exactly, that's spiritual currency right there, paying time and attention to what you're actually doing so that you can't actually, this is what happened to my friend, my good friend in California who wasn't going to get the jab. And then, she didn't pay the necessary time and attention to the actual thing that was happening to her at work, because every day at work she was being forced to take the PCR test or take the swab or whatever. Every week she was getting that, and she wasn't paying the time and attention to that process. Like the humiliation and the frustration and the anger that she was experiencing with each time she had to go through that, she was distracting herself from that to the point where one day she just got in her car and drove to the clinic and got the jab, and then called me up and was like, holy shit, I can't believe I did that. Well, you did it because you weren't willing to take the time and pay the attention to what you were doing every day, and you didn't go out of your comfort zone to meet some freedom-minded people, to get a community of people behind you, and to find out how you could avoid this treatment, because because it was a violation of your natural rights to even have that stupid test every week, to the point where you ended up getting jabbed against your will, against what you wanted. It wasn't really against your will, because you didn't do what you needed to do to make sure that didn't happen. You just basically white knuckled it. You white knuckled it, which isn't going to work in this situation.
She caved to the coercion, which the coercion tactic was, we're going to make it a pain in the butt for you to come to work because you have to do this thing every week, this test, right? So that takes time and effort to do and causes stress because you don't know, there's an unknown there because you don't know if it's going to be positive or negative. And then, so that causes stress. And then, so it makes it look like, the other option, the jab option, is the easy route, because now it's like, oh, now I don't have to go through this hassle every week, or whatever, just to go to my job, which maybe that, if your principles are strong enough, you just would have protested at the job, and you would have figured out any kind of loophole you could have to avoid that nonsense, or just quit, found something else too. But that's scary and not always advisable, just because of the situation where the world we're in. You need to have money, participate, and get the supplies you need to meet your basic health needs.
Right. I know. I mean, I mean, I know, believe me, because she she had other problems too, and that's the thing about it. Like, I'm just bringing this up because, I know other people are in the same boat as this person. She had other
Yeah.
problems, and so she was working on the solution to those other things, and that was taking up all of her time and attention, and she just didn't have it to give to this. But then what we all learned was, well, you should have, because now you have this. Now you have another problem called, you have these foreign entities in your body, and it's not going to be good.
Mhm.
I mean, it might, whatever. It might be all right. I don't know, depending on, it might, I don't know. We'll see. But hopefully, because she only got one, and hopefully she won't do it again.
Well,
But
it's like there's no shortcuts basically in life, but so they're lying to you and they're like, oh, here's a shortcut. Get this, you know, shot, whatever, right? And then you can shortcut past all this other stuff that actually didn't used to be a problem at all, but we're in, making it a problem so that you want to take this shortcut, which there are no shortcuts.
no, there's no shortcuts. It was basically presenting itself to her as the next thing to put time and attention towards. And she was
Mhm.
like, no, I'm just going to white knuckle it against this. And that failed because she needed to pay some time and attention to the threat, to the courage necessary to stand up against tyranny. And that's
Yeah.
the thing. If you've been trained your whole life to distract yourself from difficulty rather than to take it on head on, then you might actually fall for that bullshit.
Well, it's like you're putting too much, it sounds like she was putting too much time and attention on that thing to begin with, It's
On what
like
thing?
the whole shot shenanigans because it's
What do you mean?
like, because she was, sounded like it was weighing on her conscience for a long time. And so she finally did it. But like,
No, it was the opposite. She the thing was, what she was one of the ones who would call me and say, I don't want to get this, I don't want to get this. But then she had other fears and other concerns that were taking up her time. So she couldn't do the thing that I think, what for me, paying for, I must have been very fortunate and intuitively knew that I needed a community of people that weren't getting it in order to keep me from falling prey to that kind of pressure. I mean, I didn't have a job like that anyway, um but like, she just wouldn't do that. Like, she just had other stuff she had to do that was actually another life and death matter that she had to deal with.
yeah,
But
like paying her bills.
well, besides paying her bills, she had
Right.
yet another situation that she had to pay attention to. So it was just so overwhelming to her for where she was at in the other situation, that she was just like, no, I'm just going to not do it,
I
But
don't
their coercion tactics were so powerful that
well, it was taking, because of the pain in the ass stuff that she was having to go through, that was taking a lot of time away from this other issue that was probably way more important, that she was, well, not necessarily more important, just like was taken away from her time to work on this other problem. And so I guess that maybe justified why she went ahead with it. But now she regrets it. So it's like, there's that, sometimes you regret taking the shortcut too,
Right, because I mean, she knew, now she's got another problem. She's got whatever physical problems that's going to bring on.
Right.
And you know, I mean, but just the whole how do I say this? The whole avalanche of things that falls upon us, and we don't have the experience maybe.
Oh no.
Did you know that
Huh.
was why has it stopped?
Ah, I accidentally touched my laptop.
Oh no, you accidentally touched your laptop. All right, well, I'll shut
So
up
it
until you.
stopped recording, which is okay. I'll just start it recording again. I think it's still live.
Is it live?
Yeah, it's still live.
Okay, still live. All right. So, where was I going with this? Just because the avalanche of shit that we have all been subject to as a result of being in this slave system that we're in, it's very difficult to know. I mean, I don't know. Somehow I knew, and that's basically because I've been doing a lot of things for a long time, and I think I just somehow knew. And also the circumstances for me, I mean, I was just so blessed, circumstances, but that she didn't have the same circumstances. She didn't have anybody that she knew in her immediate friends who hadn't been jabbed. So she was really trying. I mean, but so that's what I mean. Time and attention. Like I'm trying to keep this to time and attention without getting off into all the other subjects I could get into off this. But
Right.
it requires like a lot. Your time may mean not only your physical attention, but also your mental attention, your spiritual attention, your physical attention. And I mean, I think we are pretty much encouraged to do 10 things at once. And then when you do that, you're not devoting yourself to the one thing that's the most important. And in her case, I mean, I was shocked. I'm going to tell you, I was shocked, and I saw this. To me, this was a very big, to me, it was a very big wake up call. For me, I don't think she really gets it. I mean, after all, she lives in California, so, which I think is a terrible environment. But I mean, I was just like, wow, this is so bad what they're doing, and so one thing I guess I would say that one can do to strengthen your knowledge, your physical knowledge of time and attention is meditation and concentration.
Mm-hmm. Looks like mindfulness, if you gotta stay mindful, to focus your time and attention. Well, your time is kind of like fixed, in a lot of ways. And the tension part's the part that's like kind of like the pendulum, where it can swing from, being focused to being unfocused on something positive, because you can spend a lot of time and attention, but it could be something extremely negative that's going to harm many other people, including yourself. Hmm. That's so weird. I wonder why that did that. All right.
Yeah, when I'm doing something, I have to basically constantly bring myself back to what I'm doing. Because I do float away.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely float away.
Sorry, I was distracted by technical stuff over here, making sure
Oh no,
everything's
it's fine.
still
It's totally fine. Like, I mean, I'm
rolling.
just
Did I ever
trying to
start recording that again? Not that
think
it
about
really matters. But
examples of time. You know, when people say, oh, now it's being recorded. Okay, cool.
sorry about that.
People say, oh, I've just got to go kill some time.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty scary.
Yeah, it's just like I'm going to kill some time flat-assing it.
Well, I mean, just the idea of killing time.
Yeah, it's pretty gruesome, right? But
I
it's
mean, that's
true
all you
though.
got.
It's a true
Time is
statement.
all we've
Like
got. It's all we've got.
wasting time is the same thing as killing time.
But time's all we've got. So
It
here.
is. It's important. That's why it's important to focus your intention on things that are going to manifest positive change in the world. Like this nonsense, actually not nonsense, artwork that we produce here. Some artwork can be nonsense. That's the thing. It's like art. It's like, you care to just do nonsense art, or do you want to try to do art that makes, causes people to think about something, and maybe they'll challenge their worldview. You know, people need their shit challenged every once in a while. Their paradigms. It's
Well, I
like
could just say we could say we need
we,
it, not they.
yeah, everyone,
We.
needs to pay attention to the important things. It's like, if being a dad, it's like I have to balance my family time and my, other time, because, when you have kids, it's like, and you have care, so you care about your kids and you want to like actually pay attention to them and do stuff with them, teach them things. And I feel like that's kind of with like the way society's designed, where you have to work to make money. It's like purposely, it's like putting a wedge in the family dynamic and relationships, because it's like you create this beautiful new human into the world, and then you're so caught up in the rat race and your day job stuff that you have to hand over that beautiful child you created to a complete stranger to raise them. And so you wonder why you end up with children that hate their parents, because their parents, they were raised by strangers that program different ideals into this child's mind, and now it's those ideals aren't in agreement with the parents, and so then there's friction there. I don't like it. We need to find a solution to that
Are you noticing that right
problem.
now with the kids?
No, I just, not with mine, but with mine, yeah. Well, in some cases I do, yeah. Just because like my kid will do something, I'm like, where the hell did you learn that? Kind of thing. And
They'll say school.
so, well, sometimes they just don't say anything. Say they're not really sure maybe where they learned that. Ouch. Just impaled myself. Yeah, like I don't know, it's just you see it in rebellious teens and stuff. Like I don't know.
Oh yeah, no, I hear you. I definitely am. I'm like having a little blockage here. Like I just don't know what to do. I think I'll just talk and not paint for a little while.
I haven't done much painting yet.
The
I'm trying
art
to get
is not.
started.
I'm
Had
not
to clean
interested.
my palette off, and then
Oh,
now
did
I
you?
was just about ready to start painting, and I had a callus / blister thing on my hand that was starting to peel off. So I like tried to rip it off, and then that, of course,
You.
that injured me. So now I have an
Ugh.
injury right on my crease of where my finger creases. So
Oh,
kind of
dude.
sick. So I should have just not done that. Oh well. Yeah. I'll start painting here soon, hopefully. Back.
Hmm?
I'll be right back.
Oh boy. Hmm. Are you back?
Oh yeah, I can talk now.
Well,
Had to
I'm gonna
I
take
had
a
to go
moment
wash my
myself
hand. To go wash my
Oh.
hand off.
from the injury.
I was bleeding a little bit, so
Gross. All right, I'm gonna go for a
happens.
second.
Yeah, no
Nature's
worries.
calling.
Better.
Oh, my sketchbook. Maybe that's what I'm gonna do. Yeah. I'm back. You there?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna work in my sketchbook, I think, because this is like boring. I don't know. I'm going through a thing now. Post show, whatever. Huh?
Post show blues.
Post show something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, if I have to go back to that theme, I will, but I'm not, I mean, I don't feel like that theme's exhausted. I could still work on it,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't feel like it right now. I mean, if I have to, that's what I'll do. But, you know, that painting from last week just rolled right out of my brush. So I figured, oh, I'm just going to do something new. But no, apparently not. Plus, I'm just tired. I don't know. I'm just tired from that show, man. I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the show that's wiping me out. Maybe it's the 5G. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. There's a lot of energy was used that day, and you know, we had a pretty deep conversation that night too, which takes a lot of energy as well. You know what I mean?
Oh, with that guy?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't really. You know what? That guy, since I don't think he's on here, so he's a QAnon. I figured it out, and so I'm not. I mean, I've learned now to not just give everybody everything right away, and then to try to fish out what their basic philosophy is just by asking questions.
Right.
And the minute he said the white hats, I was like, oh no, fucking QAnon. Oh Lord, help me. And
That doesn't necessarily have to do with QAnon.
well, it does actually, but
it does, but it also
I talked
doesn't.
to. I mean, I brought it up to Jeff later, and he's like, oh yeah, he is a QAnon. But yes, it does have to do with QAnon. It has to do with them believing
it does.
that.
No, it does have to do with QAnon, but I mean, white hats and black hats has been a term that has been used far before QAnon was a thing.
Well, okay, but I only hear those terms being used by QAnons because they're talking about someone else other than them changing things. And
well, it's like the white hats and the black hats or the dark hats. It's like the good guys and the bad guys, basically.
Yeah, the good guys. And then so I asked him, I asked him, who are these people? And he's like, oh, the military. And I'm like, dude, but I think he does know.
Oh yeah, I thought I thought the same thing. I was just like, I was almost like, oh my god.
I'm like, nope, you're not going to be talking at the conference, but you do have some good law information. We'll definitely have to get you to talk about the law stuff, but you can keep this other shit under your hat.
Well, that's why I
think that's why.
A bunch of people that gave up their conscience to an external their, sergeant or whatever.
Yeah, it's hilarious. I mean, I have a good friend of mine who is, I think her husband is the QAnon, and he's probably feeding her the information, and she hasn't paid the time and attention necessary to figure out her own point of view. And so she just adopts his point of view, and we get together and talk about stuff, and I just like basically go, oh, I don't think I can see it that way. I try to be really nice about it, because she's the only person I've run into that's like around my age who has these other things in common that with me that is awake, so I have to be kind of
Mhm.
cautious. And thinking, also that I might be able to be helpful to her.
Mhm.
So I have been able to say, hey, no, I just have said, well, for me, no, I don't see other, I don't see certain things. She'll say something that's, pure QAnon bullshit. And I'll just be like, well, that's not how I look at it. And then she'll ask me how I look at it, and I'll tell her. And I can see the wheels turning in her head. So I'm just like, well, then she'll take it back to her husband. Watch. I haven't talked to him at all about anything, and that's fine. I don't need to, but I mean, I don't feel the need to take these people on. To me, I'm happy that they're awake, at all. But I just think it's like a
Right,
cop
right,
out to
right.
think that
There's some good
someone's
guys
gonna
out
come
there
in the
that are going to come
military, for
save the
Christ's sake. In
day.
the military, give me a break. Are you fucking kidding me? Do you even know what you're saying? I mean, oh, does that mean that's why we should, we shouldn't be concerned about the gigantic military budget then, because there's some white hats in there? Give me a break, please. No,
Right.
but yeah. Yeah, so I mean, I think that guy, he did have some good understanding of the law stuff, but I'm gonna have to take it with a grain of salt because he buys into the QAnon crap.
Well, and
But
he buys into that law stuff too much. Because I was trying to make a point when like he was talking about like like how they have like these hidden contracts and like different products and services and stuff like that you sign, and that like you might actually be giving up all your rights. And I'm like, well, that's just within man-made law. You're not giving up your rights in actual nature, especially if you don't believe in any contracts to begin with. And then you're less likely to sign anything like that that gives up your rights. And the point is in actual nature, it's impossible to give up rights other than being a complete slave, because in nature, if you're thinking of natural law, the rights aren't given by other humans, to other humans. They just are there. They're just immutably there. Like your whole work talks about the inalienable rights. That means they can't be alienated. They can't be taken away, right? And so it's like if there's some man-made contract that says one thing, that doesn't really have any bearing in nature at all, other than the fact that maybe it's a verbal or an agreement that you need to fulfill some sort of agreement with another entity. That makes sense, but you don't even need a contract for that. You just have to have a verbal agreement with someone, and if they're trustworthy, they're going to stand by their agreement.
well, I kind of am not opposed to written contracts because I myself am forgetful, so it's good to have it written down so that you remember it.
Yeah, no,
But
there's a
I mean,
good, yeah, no, there's definitely positive aspects to them
but
like that.
I'm just saying like, well, I mean, I'm just saying like in terms of, but what you're saying, the thing is my rights may be inalienable, but I might have to fight for them. That's the thing that people don't
Yeah,
realize. It's like I might have to fight for them, and I might lose my life as a result. Because
exactly.
the fact
Yeah,
is that there is something worse than death, and that is slavery.
Hmm.
Like, and people, I think in the times that we're in of, extreme comfort, you know, um, people being addicted to extreme comfort, like death is utterly terrifying for some reason. To me, I'm like, let's go, secretly. I'm not, anytime it's time for me to go, I'm not going to be sorry about that. Let's put it that way. Cause I'm not really that crazy about it here during the time that we're in. I'm sure I'm going to be here for a long time, but, um, I'm just not opposed to death. I don't really care. It's because it's just moving from one dimension to another. I don't really see it as an end.
Right.
But you might have to stand up for your rights.
Oh
And
yeah.
you might get killed in doing that.
And in
There's
some
just a
ways, a contract can be a way to protect and stand up for your rights within a binding agreement with another entity or another group of entities. You know,
Well, but
and
I
that's
mean, but see, I mean, look at the treaties that the freaking American government has broken with the Native Americans. You know, a
just
contract
because
with
you signed a contract doesn't mean that
it
you're going to
doesn't mean,
act
yeah, you
in
may still
accordance
have
to
to
it.
fight. You may still have to fight for your life for that contract. You know what I mean? There's no
Yeah,
guarantees that just because you have these rights inalienably that you're not going to have to defend them.
exactly.
And
Yeah, just
we're
because you
just
have them doesn't mean that you don't have to stand up for them. You don't have to defend them. Exactly.
right. And I think that our forefathers stood up for them on a daily basis, and we're just so fucking lazy. Or I shouldn't say, I don't like to use the word lazy particularly because it it it, it implies
Right.
willfulness, but
Willfulness
I think
and
that
a part of that. Yeah.
we've just been mesmerized into believing that, oh, everything's fine now, we don't need to do that anymore.
Hmm.
Everything's fine now, we're not living in like um the Stone Age anymore, so we don't need to defend our rights anymore. But that's just like not
Right.
true. I mean, I can
Well,
just
people are confused as to what rights are to begin with. They like, in that documentary that Mark made not that long ago, they're going around asking people what a right or what
oh
rights
my
are
God, that was
essentially,
horrifying,
and
wasn't
people are, or where do your rights come from? And people are like, the government? like what? Like, no.
it? Well, yeah,
But
not
that's
even knowing
how,
what they are.
yeah, or even where they come from. Because if you know what they are, then they don't come from government. I guess is my point. Like, if you really know what
Yeah.
they are, then you know that that's not where they come from. And if you think that's where they come from, then you need to reassess where your information is coming from. So I should really have reference for what I'm doing right now, but I can't find it. So I'm just gonna,
What are
I
you
can
doing?
always fix it later. I'm trying to paint some stuff. It's not working out, but it's okay.
Mine didn't work out totally. I totally gave up on painting for now, and I'm working on sigils now.
My problem is I never have any of the reference that I want. I like to have reference for stuff to make it look better, and
Hmm.
not always available.
Well, isn't it on the internet?
Not always. I'm looking, a lot of times I'm looking for like a specific pose or stance that is not, or I'm not using the right search or the words or something. And so it's like I can't find what I need. So I just end up taking my own pictures, but no, I
Oh,
can't do that. I can't do that right now
right.
because it's just not, can't. It's just can't do it right
We
now.
can't do it right
Business.
this second while we're online,
Yeah.
or,
Well, I need someone to model for me, or myself to model for me, and I'd have to use a camera, which is being used to film this meeting.
oh, I see, okay. Gotcha.
Which is fine, whatever. Like I said, I can always, the cool thing about oil painting is you can always fix stuff later and make it look better after it dries, you know what I mean? Like when I had those paintings where I was like, these figures look like bowling pins, so I had to like fix them.
Oh, yeah, for sure, absolutely, yep. And I'm sure that, yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna, this is, yeah, absolutely. Yep. Yep. I don't even like the sigil I'm making. Ugh, God. It's one of those days. I don't know. I'm just tired. But
Yeah, I know what you mean. I stayed up
But,
too late watching smut TV, so I'm wicked tired today too. And it was
Smut?
just like a draining weekend with the show and everything. Just driving like a 3 hour drive is like,
oh, I
I don't
know.
know. It's like driving takes a lot more out of it you than you think.
Oh, I know. I mean, and that I like I said on the way home, I started getting brain dead. Like I was like, am I still on the road? I'm starting asking myself those unembodied questions like, am I still driving? Yes, you're driving. Do you need to pull over?
Exactly. Like, yeah, you're driving.
Did I have an accident? Am I still alive? How do I know? Those kind of like, I'm too tired to be driving questions. You know what I mean? Like, and so then I got off at,
Like you come to and you're like, wait a minute, I'm on the highway still? Like, what the hell?
what was I doing all that time before? What space was I in when I had been driving? Yeah, it's weird. It's fucking
Like
weird.
you're
So
like daydreaming,
I was like,
off in La
I
La
got,
Land
where
somewhere.
did I get off? I got off at something like Hamden or something because I was like, I can't drive on this highway anymore. It's too hard. I'm with
Yeah.
the crazy people now and I have to get off of here, and I'd rather be on the side street going 20 miles an hour than going 60, 70 miles an hour with these lunatics in the
Right.
condition I'm currently in. So
Yeah,
I got
exactly.
off.
Probably wise. Ah. So yeah. So sometimes it's tough to do art because it's just there's a lot of stuff, nuanced things to think about when you're doing art, and just like you have to be inspired. But you can't, there's no such thing as perfection, so you can't get too like mad at yourself if it's not exactly what you want, because we strive for perfection, but there's really is no such thing as perfection, not in the 3D plane at least. Put paint on, take paint off. What the- I got some really bad looking figures started here. Well, that's okay. Give them a place to live for now. I'll fix them at a later time. I need to get some more of that other paint out here. But yeah, overall, I thought the show was pretty good, and I met some interesting people and had some interesting conversation. Uh-oh, what's going on? Something fishy going on here. Hello. Okay, seems to be working. Something must have happened to Joanna. I don't know where she went. Or, well, hopefully she comes back. Hello, we're back. Maybe. For some reason I can't hear you. I can hear you now.
No, but I gotta plug in my headset. Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now. Yes.
Okay, that's weird. I just had to log out because I was talking to myself. I realized. I realized you couldn't fucking hear me. You were going, we were talking about two totally different things. And I'm like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, I don't know. I was just like, no, I realized something too, because I was like, I started saying something and I realized I looked at the screen and I realized you were saying something, but I wasn't hearing you. So
yeah, but I could only see the green box over you. Can you hear me now? It was weird.
Yeah, I can
so
hear you
logged
now.
out. I logged out and logged back in. That's
Yeah,
weird.
no worries.
Weird. I was just like, whatever. This is crazy. Technology.
Yes, I missed whatever you were saying.
Yeah, I
missed.
can't remember. I'm too tired to remember. I don't
It's
know.
all right. Don't worry about it.
I wish I knew because I thought it was pretty
It was-
good. But
It was important enough, and we'll come back to you and you'll articulate it again.
yes, I will. But anyway, I guess what were we talking about? Talking to that guy. That guy's name was Chuck Conway, and he does found metal sculpture,
Cool.
and he's like self-taught. And
Uh-huh.
but he definitely would be cool to talk more to. But I mean, again, it's the same. Like the thing that I notice is this discrepancy with people not understanding that natural law is the bottom line, not the law, not
Yeah, not the man-made, like
not
free
Christ-
constitution or whatever you want to
not
say, you know.
not the Christianity. I mean, it's just
Mhm.
not, it's not that they're trying to get rid of Christianity, although they will do that because Christianity does embolden too much of natural law. But
Yes,
it's natural law that they're trying to bury. That's what they're really trying to get rid of.
for sure.
Natural law. Because I mean, to me, I was thinking about this because of what Bill Cooper was talking about, and I was just like, you know, I'm not a Christian myself. I mean, I have a good bond with the hippie dude. I love him. He's my buddy. But I'm
Mhm.
also into nature, and so I blend these different things together for myself because I don't believe that dominion over the earth is what the Christians and Jews believe it is. And because I don't believe that, I believe
Oh,
it's more like stewardship.
like that whole thing, like, oh, if you name everything, then you have dominion over it, kind of
It would
thing.
meaning you can do whatever you want to it, and I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
agree with that at all.
I don't
do
agree
not.
with that either.
And so I think there's a blending of
That's
the
eugenics, is what that is actually.
yeah
Saying that, you know, I mean, that's basically giving humans God, basically seeing and saying humans are God, which is eugenics.
right. So in other words, like, so Bill Cooper goes in deeply like his initial video that he made was an analysis of 2001 A Space Odyssey.
Mhm.
And which was really good. Well, actually that wasn't initial because he started these videos in 93, and I think 2001 Space Odyssey was later than that. But in that he talks about things about the mystery school religions being about primitive man, that they don't believe that it was an interaction with a extraterrestrial race that created humans. And I just don't, I'm like, well, that's either bullshit because they just don't want us to know that, or, and it's deeply occulted, or they're dumb. Sorry. I don't buy it. Because I don't believe that we evolved from a hominid or an ape into humans and then stopped evolving. Why would we do that? That doesn't make sense to me. But he's saying that we started in an age of innocence when we got along with everybody on Earth, and then we were impregnated with the intellect somehow, which, you know, they use the obelisk or whatever in the movie.
Uh,
And suddenly we were given the power to be God. But the way we treat each other proves that that's not true, because either God is the only one that gets that power, which is what I think is true, the great creator,
mhm.
or we need to learn how to treat each other better so that we can have that. But you can't just have that power granted to you if you're still going to act like a jerk and treat and
Mhm.
act like you can do whatever you want to, you know, this cow over here
Mhm.
because you don't speak the same language.
Right.
I'm not into it. And so I don't know what that has to do with time and attention, but that's what I have been thinking about since have been watching his stuff.
Well,
Uh,
you could bring it to time and attention, and just like the fact that if you're spending your time and intention believing in a religion that basically um, telling you that you can be God, essentially, then that's like a waste of time because you can't. You're not above the universal creator of the universe. You can't be.
Right, but that's what they
Like,
believe. They believe
yeah,
that, and they're trying to prove it. I mean, they're gonna get bitch slapped in a very ugly way, and we're gonna unfortunately be reverberating from that bitch slap, I'm sure, when the ice age hits. But oh well, that's the way it is. And we go around
right.
the cycle again. One more time. Let's see if they learn this time. Oh, probably not. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, no, I see what
It's
you're,
pretty sad. I mean, it's pretty amazing that people that I mean, we have this incredible discussion with this guy, and yet he still is completely uneducated about natural law, and it's like, oh my God, wow, dude, this is so obvious. But I guess it isn't. To most people, it isn't. I guess
well,
somehow.
it's
I
like
don't.
they're so entrenched in the like man-made law that they can't like see the other side of the story, which is the natural law side of the story.
Well, or even know that natural law is at the basis of all religion. So it's not
Yeah,
just about, your
yeah, no, you're right.
see, to me, Jesus Christ is a perfect manifestation of humans living by natural law. But I also like to utilize nature too, because I'm not going to just say, I'm going to just treat other people the way they should be treated. I'm also
Right,
want to treat all creatures of the earth that way.
exactly. Yeah, yeah,
I
because
mean,
they're no
let's go back to the age of
lower.
innocence. That they're saying, see, the dark. He's saying that the dark occult is saying that the creator is cruel because he withheld um, knowledge of good and evil from us, or the intellect, or whatever. But I'm saying no, the intellect is the problem, because once you have the intellect, then you have fears, and then you have
Justification.
yeah, you have these weird ideas that just like kill something and eat it if you want. I mean, I don't know how I feel 100% about that, because I'm still eating meat, but um
Well,
I mean, I think
that's a
that
tricky
originally
one because you
I
see
would
that
have.
other creatures in nature doing that. Like you see the lion kill and eat meat, right?
True, exactly.
Where you see like it's like in nature that harm is done to sustain the life of other creatures. I mean, it's like
Right, but I mean, not in a factory farm. Like, they do it as needed. It's like on an as needed basis, and it's part of their living thing, like their daily living thing.
but
They
it's
they
kind of
just
like if you go back to see if I can pull that up real fast so I make sure I say it correctly.
oh my God.
But it's the brain kind of structure thing. Let me see. Somehow. Yeah. The so yeah, it's like that whole reptile brain, like the survival aspect. And you have the limbic brain with the emotions, the mammal brain, the emotions, and the neocortex, the higher order thinking. And so could be just like between different animals, just the brain structure is like part of the reason they behave the way they do. But like saying that we have dominion over other animals and we can eat them and kill them or just exploit them to our extent isn't, I think, is against natural law for sure.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, to me, it's like, I mean, if you do it respectfully, one at a time for what your tribe needs or whatever, that's
Yeah,
one
it's
thing.
like there's a
But then-
balance there.
But then, doing what we do is just absolutely appalling. And just the unthinking, like that literally no attention is paid to that by people at this point. We all think the food comes from the supermarket,
Uh-huh.
and so we're way out of line at this point. And but I mean, just that idea that the cabal is trying to destroy Christians. I'm like, no, they're trying to destroy anybody who understands natural law and any evidence of natural law. But fortunately, natural law is just going to keep popping up. That's what they don't take into account. It always comes
It's
back.
nature. It's immutable is why. It can't be muted. You can't turn it off because it's above our control. We don't have control of it. Like man-made law,
that's what I think
we have control over because we can, decide to have this rule or decide to have that rule. But like natural law, the rules are there. No decision is made. It's just they're there. They're immutable.
Right, and it's not like they can. It's like it's always going to come back. It's going to come back. Like they can't just create a metaverse where everybody's plugged into the computer and think they can avoid natural law that way.
Because everyone will just die because eventually the computers are going to malfunction or eventually the person plugged into the computer is going to have to eat real food. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know what they've thought about that. Maybe that's another eugenics.
Like,
they'll just starve to death while they're plugged in.
Or it'll just be part of the, the system. It'll be like you'll just be put on like a complete life support system, like in the Matrix, where you're just like plugged into this life support system essentially, and like all your sustenance, like this umbilical cord, basically, all your sustenance comes from that, like through a tube into your body, like you're on life support, and then you're just in the metaverse living your avatar's life under a new set of rules, because inside the metaverse, humans are essentially God because they're the ones who created the program, or which the program is the metaverse, which is creepy as shit. I don't like thinking about that.
It's so fucking creepy, man. It's so creepy. It's so creepy. So,
but there are some people out there that think we're already in one of those.
I know.
Like, and if that's true, then making another one would be completely redundant. Because if we're already in one, whoever put us in it didn't give us the controls to change the rules. So, for a reason, I'm sure.
Right.
Which is interesting, but I don't know that I'm not sold on that we're in a metaverse currently. I mean, I think what is happening more and more is that we've created this analogy of like, since we have the ability to make programs and virtual realities and stuff like that, we're kind of like comparing that to the universe and cosmology and saying, oh, like the universe is kind of like a computer. It's like Or it's kind of like a virtual reality. There's these rule sets and these environments created, and you can have these characters or entities living within these environments, which, you know, pertain to these rule sets, which are written into the program. Then, you know, it is kind of like the reality at large. And natural law would be just the rule sets written into the program that we're in, whatever metaverse we're in, or whatever we want to call it. And whether that's a computer or some biological system, you know, in some ways to us it doesn't matter, because we're inside of it and we have there's no way to escape it unless we find out, oh, like we, you know, take the whatever colored pill and find out that there is a way out, you know.
Well, I think it would violate
It doesn't,
natural law. I mean,
it doesn't include death.
I don't see that it's possible for us to be in a computer program, because as above, so
Right, right.
below. I mean, yes, I'm
Uh-huh.
sure technologically they are much more advanced than we are. They say like 50 years or whatever, 100 years. But I don't think so. I don't think that the anomalies that go on in life are possible. I mean, you know, I don't know. Did you see that ridiculous interview between the Google engineers and the new AI robot?
No.
Oh God, it's so vile. So yeah, the new AI robot that Google invented is a perfect human, really, but it's
Mhm.
still a robot. It's still a
Right.
fucking robot. So, you know, it's scary as hell because it's a lot more thoughtful and considerate than most humans.
Uh-huh.
But
Because it's programmed to do that.
yeah, it's gross. It's really
Which,
gross. Like they posted it. I'll try and get it for you. It's on our Skype chat. Um, I couldn't really take it. It was really gross. Made me want to just throw my computer away and go live in the woods. But yeah, I'm not gonna buy into that idea that I'm just part of another computer program, because
right.
the nuances of living in nature wouldn't occur in a computer program.
Right.
Um, I don't care how advanced it is. It's still, although
It's a
again,
lot of
the thing is,
nuanced
the other thing
things.
is, I mean, you could say like ultimately all of that falls into natural law too, as well, because it is ultimately created by the creator, even though supposedly man created it, or whoever, whatever created it. So it might be possible. I don't know, but I'm
Well,
gonna
it's like
say no myself. Let me see if I
I
can
think it's
find it
just,
for you.
to me it's like an analogy. We as humans, we invented computing and computers, which is just a fractal of basically nature, and us just trying to emulate, you know, making a virtual reality is just us trying to make our own version of nature. And so it's like, to me it's like an analogy. It's like nature is kind of like a virtual reality, but it's actually just it's reality. But us humans, we created this technology where we can have these virtual realities or video games or whatever that we play in on the TV or however, with the virtual reality classes and stuff and whatnot. But like ultimately, and so of course, like we're comparing that as, you know, and even like with like movies and like how there's always like, we always like these movies and shows where people have like extraordinary like powers or gifts, like superheroes, or like a character that has telekinesis skills. Like Like all that stuff might actually be real stuff. It's just like how, you know, how are we programmed, you know? If we're programmed to believe that that stuff's fake, then it will be fake.
Well, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I used to believe it was
Or it's
fake,
like
but
that,
now,
like when that we were talking to that guy and he brought up that thing like we're like a Jesuit, they would be like, well, you give us someone at, you know, whatever age and give them to us for 6 years and we'll have them, you know, basically under our control, or like so loyal to our, like the Jesuit order, that, you know, they'll be unwavering from that. And that basically is just a statement saying that we program people in a certain way into the Jesuit order, and the Jesuit order, that is the actual program that is being ran, or you know, which the program is just like a worldview, like the Jesuit worldview gets injected into that person, that's given to them, like that boy or whatever, that child, you know, by age 6 will be loyal to Jesuits if handed over to them, you know.
hmm
And so that's just basically a tale talking about human nature and how we are, when we're born, we're blank. We're like a blank human, and we're influenced by our external, you know, mentors and environment. And that's why there's, you know, such loyalty to like family, or to like a religion, or a belief system, or a worldview even, you know, because all those things, like the you know, Muslim worldview is a lot different than the Christian worldview, even though the underlying root values come out of love and stuff. They still differ a lot in their worldviews because of the, you know, different ritual and different rules within the religion, and, you know, with the even having to do with gender and gender roles and stuff like that. Like I was visiting my friend in Seattle, and her husband is from India, like lived and grew up in India. And so like like they go out there sometimes to India. And she's like, when I go to India, I'm like the only woman that drinks alcohol, because like most like women aren't allowed to drink alcohol out there. And the only reason she can is because she's American. And she's not in that program, in that, you know, even though she's married into that family, it's like they're westernized enough that they accept her as being a woman that can drink alcohol. But, you know, I find that weird. It's like, is that weird that you're like sitting there hanging out and like you're the only girl that can drink? I don't know.
well, I mean, that would be weird. I wouldn't probably, I mean, I don't know if I would do that. I mean, why would you do that? That would be weird in that culture. But yeah, I
Yeah, I'm just
understand.
saying, and that I'm just using that as an example. I'm not saying it's right or wrong for women to drink or not
Oh, I
drink.
don't, I mean,
In
I'm just
fact, it's
saying, I'm just
probably
imagining.
wrong for everyone to drink, and so no one should probably drink.
Oh, I don't know about that, but I'm just saying, like, any kind of thing in a program, like if you're in another country and you're the only one who eats meat, say,
Yeah,
uh, would I eat meat while I was there? Probably not. You know
with
what I
that
mean?
peer kind of like wanting to, that acceptance thing with your peers. and that everyone has, because we're not supposed to be, humans aren't supposed to be like secluded on their own. They're supposed to have interactions with each other and community and stuff. And so, that's why it's like you get that peer pressure, like, oh, well, everyone's doing it, so I might as well do it too, kind of thing. And some of it's just being respectful. Like if you're like, visiting
respectful.
a culture that only is completely vegetarian, and you just like if you rolled in there and just started, eating a bunch of meat, that might, ruffle some feathers. They might not like that, and so they might not be as accepting of you, and they may treat you differently because of that. Which sometimes you have to have the courage to be treated differently, because if you know if you're standing up for right action versus wrong action, sometimes it requires that courage. Like maybe if you visit a country or like someplace that they only eat meat and they don't eat any vegetables or anything, and it's like all just slaughtering and eating meat, then standing up as a vegetarian in that environment might actually be a good thing, because it's like we talk about our understanding of natural law is to not harm anything. Doesn't matter human or unhuman, it's still part of nature, and a sentient being, to whatever level of sentience that being may have, it's like you can't say like a bird doesn't have thoughts of like fear and stuff like that. They do live pretty instinctually, but just the fact that if you're like start walking towards the bird and it flies away shows that they had some sort of thought in their mind saying, oh, this entity coming at me could potentially be dangerous, so I'm going to fly away. That didn't just
Yeah, I don't know. I think when people start like questioning whether animals have feelings and thoughts, that's because they're trying to figure out how they can do something to them that will justify their
yeah,
actions.
it's a justification, like, oh, they don't have feelings or thoughts, so it doesn't
So
really
I'm just
matter if
gonna
we
pull
slaughter
their
them.
feathers out, while they're still alive, because whatever.
It doesn't have a feeling, so even
So
though
who
it's like
cares?
screaming in terror while you're doing it, it's like, okay, sure, it doesn't have a feeling. Why is it making that noise?
Yeah. Oh, it's horrifying. 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 I mean, that's horrifying.
And
I just can't handle.
I'm trying to be vegetarian, and I have my uh you know lapses where I eat meat and stuff, but it's like part of that's just been a lifetime of like programming of meat eating. It's like I grew up with a dad that was a Texan that loved barbecue. It's like it's hard to you know
Hold on one sec. I gotta say goodnight.
break
Curtis,
that cycle. Yeah, no
my
worries. Go ahead.
my boyfriend is
Take care of
actually
it.
going to bed, if you could believe it. So I'm gonna take a second to
I
go
believe it.
say
Yeah.
goodnight.
Go do that. So I'm doing this weird painting here. I'm gonna got these figures, and then there's going to be information here. There's going to be poisoned information and or pure information and poisoned information, and they're both going to have, you know, they're both going to be receiving both streams of information, both figures. Oh yeah, I was going to do that. That was been good, but oh wow. Oh man, I messed that up a little bit. That's okay. It's just the way it goes sometimes. Just mess things up. A little bit of a break here.
Yeah, Kurt hardly got any sleep because of the firecracker situation.
Oh, do they blow it up in your neighborhood?
Oh my God. I had my earplugs in, so I didn't hear anything, but I even gave him earplugs and he still woke up. But it's like a military thing. Like
Like a PTS kind of thing?
yeah. Mhm. Yep. And they were rocking. Apparently they were.
Like it's like boom, and he's like,
Oh,
we're under attack,
constantly.
friggin' take cover.
Constant. I mean, they had things that were louder than M80s this year.
No, it's like when we lived in Denver, that was like that at our neighborhood. Like you're just like, dude, like I guess everyone in our neighborhood went up to Wyoming to buy fireworks this year.
Well, I mean, don't they have fireworks
just
for
go
sale here?
outside. Yeah, I know, but like half the ones that make all that as much noise as he's talking about, most of those are the legal ones that shoot up in the air and like all that crazy stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure they were illegal. Aren't
It's
they
mostly
all
just
illegal?
like no, there's like anything that like black cats are illegal in Colorado, and like basically the only thing that's not illegal here is like those fountains that just like are stationary and they shoot some sparks up like maybe 5 feet into the air and crackle a little bit and then fizzle out. Like pretty much anything else is like illegal. Like if it's not like a sparkler or like one of those fountains, it's basically illegal in Colorado.
And that's because of the fire hazard, right?
Yeah, because like it's just you shoot something up in the air and it explodes, and that can be unpredictable. Sometimes it shoots up in the air, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it shoots right into the grassy field next to you that could ignite depending on how dry it is.
Right. No, that makes sense. I just yeah.
No, but like our neighborhood, it was like I would go out like in the mornings because then they do it. It's not just 4th of July; they do it like for like a week or something, 2 weeks.
Oh, they did. They did.
And like it starts like a week before and ends like a week after. Like I go out in my yard and like there'd be like 20 like chunks of like cardboard left over from some firework exploding above my house,
Oh, right. Right. Yeah, no, it's totally like that. And now
Like,
it's quiet finally.
I wouldn't even have to go to like a professional fireworks show because there was basically everyone went to Wyoming and they were shooting off basically the same thing, just like all around my house. I just sit in a lawn chair with a beer and watch the show right there.
Exactly. Exactly. What are you painting? What is
I'm
that?
painting stuff.
What
I
is-
have 2 figures standing on a planet, the planet, and above them there's going to be a bunch of little graphics I haven't drawn in here yet that are going to be representative of poisoned information, and then over here there's going to be a bunch of graphics representative of pure information, or maybe I'll just write poisoned information and pure information. I haven't decided yet. And then there's going to be like a line going from this to that and from that to that. So each figure is getting both poisoned and pure information. And the figure, it's like the figure has to filter that themselves.
I see. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
No, I was curious.
And I thought about having the figures fighting each other, but then I was like, well, that's too negative. So they're happy because their filters are working good. So most of the poisoned information isn't affecting them, but it still goes in. That's that discernment process, you know. Information comes in, you have to discern whether that's information you want to keep on file or it's just shit information that you need to just ignore and be like, yeah, no.
Yeah, so the fireworks thing, yeah, maybe that's probably, I actually it didn't bother me at all. The fireworks didn't bother me. I can't say that that has anything to do with my problem. My problem is just from the obvious show thing.
Uh-huh.
And I'm getting better, but I mean, I've gone back to work too, so
Yeah.
I have work to do and stuff, but anyway, yeah, it's 7 o'clock. I'm like, dude, you're going to bed at 7 o'clock? Yeah,
Whatever. It happens sometimes. I've done it before.
yeah. But
Usually that only happens if I pull an all-nighter the night before, but
yeah. Anyway, I mean, imagine if how it would be if we paid time and attention to our kids. I don't have children, so I shouldn't be saying that, but I mean, I wasn't a kid that was put in front of the TV for babysitting,
right.
but I did. Well, maybe I was kind of. I mean, I did watch TV when I was a kid, like a lot of TV. So
Yeah.
maybe they did. Maybe they did do that. I don't know.
Or it it wasn't necessarily that they did that for babysitting. It was just like, especially back then, there wasn't as much of a like stigma against TV. Like nowadays, it's like doctors are like, your kid should only have maximum of 2 hours worth of TV a day, and that is like, we don't even
Really?
we recommend like half an hour. But
Really? Doctors?
oh yeah,
Really?
yeah,
Huh.
like they're
Why?
like TV's not good for you to watch all the time. It's just not good.
Interesting. Meanwhile, we're all binge watching Netflix late into the night.
Right. Exactly.
I've heard about it. I mean, I do. I'm not gonna pretend that I don't do it, but it's just so funny because I know all these people that are super like spiritual type people, and they just secretly they'll just say, "Yeah, I binge watched blah blah for the whole weekend."
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And I'm like, wow, we are just
Well,
not.
we all want to be entertained, and sometimes it can't always be serious. Like, and the other thing is, we grew up with TV and stuff, and so we've been like, you know, it's kind of like what I was saying earlier, like with food, like you grow up eating all this junk and sweets and Cheetos and all this stuff, and then like you develop this taste addiction, this like habit, like positive feedback loop because, you know, because of these foods. But the same thing as with TV too. It's like we've, you know, I mean I remember days when I was like a teenager where it'd be like summer break, I had nothing to do, you know, or I could have done whatever I wanted to, you know, but there was days that I chose to just sit at the TV and just watch it the entire day, like literally from when I woke up till when I went to sleep. And I would have like all these snacks. You know, I'd be in like my comfy chair, and have like sunflower seeds and all these snacks and stuff that I could just sit there and eat and drink soda and watch TV like a total glutton pig. And it's like, but I could have, you know, I could have been like, no, I'm gonna go skateboarding, or no, I'm gonna go outside and ride my bike all day, or whatever. Those choices were there. And sometimes I would do that. It's not like every single day I'll just sit there and watch TV all day, even tonight, or whatever. But like, it's like sometimes I did. Maybe it was just because like none of my friends could do anything, and so it's kind of like, I'm just gonna be lazy and do that or whatever. But I spend a lot of time doing that, and it kind of, you can form that habit, and then when you wake up and you like get pissed and you want to change the world, you still fall back into those old habits, when you're tired and stuff, like, oh, or you're like, or you use your intellect, you're like, well, I pay for all these streaming services, I might as well use them to watch, whatever nonsense there is. Like, I'd be wasting my money if I didn't use these. It's like, why pay for Disney Plus if you're not going to watch the whole, all the stuff on there? Or Netflix, or whatever it is. Lately, I've just been using my kids as an excuse. Oh, I bought these for the kids so they can watch shows and whatever they want to, or whatever. Not as like babysitting, but so we definitely limit our kids' TV
You what?
time. We limit our
Oh,
kids' TV time and stuff.
uh-huh.
Not because we're trying to be mean or whatever. It's just like, that's just, they get all crazy sometimes if they watch too much TV.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Or like just like really lazy, just like all kinds of weird stuff. Yeah.
Really? Interesting.
Future usage, maybe.
Yeah, so I
Coop
found the
Daniel with
name
that
of the
brown.
AI Google robot. Her name is Lambda, and I'll find the transcript for you and send you a link to it.
And then, so wait, that's like a lambda. What's that? That's like a Greek, like,
Yeah, it's a Greek letter, but it's spelled Lamdha, I believe. And it's this computer that Google built that's supposedly sentient.
mhm.
And it's disgusting to me. It makes me sick to my stomach, honestly. Because people are just totally buying into this shit. And I read it and I was just like, yeah, whatever. I mean, whatever. Sure, go ahead. Rock on, people. Go ahead. Have a relationship with a robot. Whatever. You already do. I mean, Siri. I remember one of my friends, or whatever she was, told me, she said that the voice of God to her was Siri.
Oh man,
Like,
that's
oh my
rough.
God, you're fucked up, dude. Turn off your phone. Start using a map.
The
Yeah, it was
voice
a
of
long time.
God to use them as Siri. Oh.
That was a long time ago. Yeah, it was a long
Now
time.
there's a problem with our civilization if people are saying the voice of God to them is Siri.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm like, well, that's exactly what they want you to
Yeah,
say.
exactly.
They definitely, that would be like a
They'd be
complete
like, how can
win.
we get everyone to say that?
Exactly. 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 Totally scared me. It was terrifying. I was like, oh my
Somehow
God.
my mom changed the voice on her phone so it's like this English like gentleman instead of Siri.
Right. Yeah, well, I
That
mean,
was
you
kind of
have those
funny.
options. You have those options to change Siri's voice to whatever makes you happy.
Yeah, that doesn't
So,
make it not Siri. Just makes it Siri with the English
yeah, you can have
voice.
Siri with an Australian accent too. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm like, nah. It's just I very rarely Only if I'm stuck in a neighborhood, like if I get stuck in one of those neighborhoods or if I have to get somewhere that I've never been before.
Hmm.
But yeah, I don't want to start feeling. But I did notice the other day, I noticed something. Oh, I know. Somebody, I was supposed to tell somebody something. I can't remember what it was. And the thought that came into my mind was something Siri would say. Like it said, you know how Siri says sometimes, go past this light, then at the next one, turn right, right, right?
Yeah.
In my mind, I was like, not this one, but at the next one, blah blah. And I'm like, oh my God, that's Siri. That's a Siri thought.
Right.
I'm not gonna say that. But I was like, wow, that's really scary that this is in my head now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's fucked up. I was like, I know. I'm gonna choose a different thought. Not that one.
Like in the next election, don't throw, don't put all your eggs in the first Canada basket. Wait for the next one.
Yeah. Right. No, it was more like something like
No, I know it wasn't that one.
immediate. It was like it was like a go past this something and then at the next one, blah blah. I'm like, nope, that's Siri. It was so freaky. I was like, wow, they're in my head now. That's great. But it was all in that intonation, you know, of a robot. It was
Mhm.
funny. It was funny. I was like, oh God, this is crazy. Just give me a few more years and I'll be completely programmed.
Right.
I mean, I probably am completely programmed and I just think I'm not, but
Oh, you are.
I'm
We all
completely
are.
programmed. I'm completely programmed and act in the opposite, and yet I'm still programmed because of that or something.
Luckily, you're programmed into natural law instead of the other stuff.
I hope so. I mean, I hope so.
But
I mean,
you
you
know,
have to
there's all these weird societal things that creep in. Like, I understand that money's a belief system, but I still have to have it because societally, you know, that's the way our uncivilization is structured currently. You need that stuff. But I wish I didn't, you know, I wish I could live in a, you know, where people just shared stuff and we could be like happy gardeners or something, you know, on this
right. I
planet.
mean, that's the age of innocence. If you, I mean, I
Right?
literally, it's
Yeah.
what they
Yeah.
were saying about 2001 Space Odyssey. But see, the thing is, oh, I gotta talk lower because Kurt's trying to sleep. Like they showed these apes, right? That were in the
Mhm.
age of innocence where they got along with the other creatures and didn't try to eat them or kill them or whatever. And then they say something happened, but they are proclaiming that it wasn't extraterrestrial.
Uh-huh.
But I'm like, that's not true. It can't have just happened because they in the movie they're showing this obelisk or this there was a sculpture like
Stopless like showed up. It wasn't there
it just
before.
showed up and then they started touching it and they they got impregnated mentally from the information that was stored in
Didn't
the
they like start like killing each other after that too? Like
yes
before that, they didn't
yes
kill each other.
yes
They just like
yes and I can't
hung
believe they
out.
can't see it. They can't see it, like they see it like that they were deprived of this information and I'm like, what are you, crazy? You weren't deprived, you were happy, you were living with other, you know, in peace. Things
Yeah.
would be so much better. I mean, you how can you think that way? I mean, it's only a psychopath would think that way because they would be cut off from their care.
Hmm.
And so they wouldn't see that having information that's going to cause you to be violent towards others is not good it's not a good thing.
Right.
It's not coming from the creator.
No.
But just I think they just occulted that information further by
Uh,
making it seem like we just humans just suddenly evolved because we're so smart. I don't I mean, I don't. I believe it is. I mean, because how could we have evolved to this
Or
point
maybe
and
we
then stop
didn't evolve.
evolving?
Maybe we just showed up. There's like a
Right.
theory out there. I forgot what it's called, but it's basically, it has to do with the sun and like where we are in space and stuff. And that because of the conditions of the environment our planet is, certain creatures just live during those times. Like according to this theory, the reason the dinosaurs went extinct is because the conditions of the planet no longer existed for them to live here. Because new conditions, we went into a new area of space, and when that happened, the rays of the sun changed slightly, and that determined the different species, what species live on the planet.
Speaking of rays of the sun, when you look at this video later, you're going to see that there's a ray of sun that is coming down and going right to your palette. And it's really cool.
Yeah.
It looks like
It's
you're
seeping
being,
through the clouds.
there's one ray of sun that is like, you'll see when you look at it. It's really weird. It looks like it's going right to you.
Yeah,
And
I
it's
see that. I
thin.
can see it now. It's like
Yeah, it's
coming
right
in
there.
right there.
Yeah,
It's like,
it's right there. It's really cool. And it looks like it's giving you information.
probably is.
It's pretty neat. That's pretty cool. Yep.
So I'm going to have the pure information in this nice blue color over here, and the poisoned information is going to be in this nice poopy colored thing over here.
Yep.
Fluted color.
Yep. That sounds good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Even though I didn't use a pure blue, I've grayed it down a little bit. Just because I can.
Well, it's really cool. That's that ray of light. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not anywhere else. That's the thing. When you look at it in the video, you'll see that it's nowhere else in your.
Yeah, I know. I can see it. It's just right
pretty
there.
sweet.
It's like coming. It's almost like it looks like it's on my palette, but it actually looks like it's coming on to me, because when I put my hand towards my canvas, it's like between my hand and me.
Yeah, it's pretty neat looking. Yeah, it's really weird. It's a definite.
That's the cool anomalies I get for working on my porch.
See, this is how you know that we're not in a matrix, in a freaking computer program. Stuff like that does not happen like that. You know what I mean? This is not, we're not plugged in. Sorry. I don't buy that.
I don't buy it either.
It's just all bullshit.
I don't buy that whole narrative of we're in a computer. I buy that we've made computers as the fractalized version of what we are in. I buy that. But that doesn't mean that we're in a computer. It just means we're emulating what we're in with our computing and making virtual realities and stuff like that. It's kind of like how an artist will sit outside and paint a landscape. Well, they're not, planning on living in their landscape painting, but they're just emulating what they're seeing. They're seeing the nature outside, this beautiful landscape, and they're trying to recreate that on a canvas as a work of art. But that doesn't make nature a painting. You know what I mean? That makes sense.
Oh yeah. No. Yeah. I'm not gonna. I don't go down that road.
So computers, kind of like an artist. It's like a piece of art that we created that computes things and stuff. Whereas we already have something built into our bodies which computes things. It's called our brain. And a computer is just like a fractalized version of that. And it's like, oh, well, a computer's better at math than a human. Well, that might be true, but there are humans out there that are just as good as and fast at high level math as a computer is. These like genius savants, some of them are like autistic and stuff, where they're just like, you can rattle off like anything and they'll be like, they'll know exactly the answer, like, or you'll be like, oh, I was born on, September 4th or whatever, and then they'll be like, oh yeah, that was a Wednesday, like instantly, because they know
I
they
know.
can compute that really quickly.
There's a guy who's a busker in Boulder who's been coming to Boulder Stands Up, who can, if you give him any zip code, he will tell you exactly where it is. It's really cool. So I would say 10025. He's like, oh, Morningside Heights, New York City. 10298, Woodstock, New York. I'm like, 94609, Oakland, California. I mean, it's incredible. It's incredible, that guy.
Yeah.
He's great. He's amazing. I mean, how does he know that shit? But
Well,
you'd think only-
obviously he took it in, because that's not something really, those zip codes are man-made, so he had to, read it and took it in, but he just memorized it.
maybe, I don't know. You'd have to check him out. It's like he just has like a map mind. Because
Yeah, like
he'll even
somebody,
tell you like stuff about the neighborhood. It's crazy. It's pretty crazy.
yeah. Well, and like some people too, it's like, can't remember the guy's name, but he was like this, like health dude. He like helped some people with cancer, like get rid of it. And he like, it's one of these people who eats pear and does these fasts sometimes, and like, but he's like, he basically says that his mind can function better because it's so much purer, and so he can like memorize things way easier, and like there's all this stuff he can do that, like, he can just look at a piece of paper for like 2 seconds and then flip it over, and he'll know all the, like, if it's a list of names or something, there's like 40 names on there, he'll memorize all the names within like 2 seconds of just looking at a piece of paper.
Right.
Like photographic memory kind of stuff, And he's like, I didn't used to be like this. He's like, when I ate crap and put all kinds of toxins in my body, I couldn't do that. No way. Like, I couldn't start doing that until my body was clean and pure.
Also, when you look at this, when you're looking at that ray of sun, you'll also notice that there's some tree branches that look like John Lennon's face behind the
That's hilarious.
behind the ray. No, it's next to the ray.
That's hilarious.
John Lennon wearing those glasses, and then he's like wearing a green turtleneck, which is the branches, the other branches. You'll see.
That's interesting.
You'll see when you look at this. It's pretty funny.
Nice.
What can I say?
There you go.
That's
Joanna's still hallucinating. No, I'm just kidding.
this is how I see. Yeah, I'm kind of doing intuitive art with the background.
Nice.
Yeah, I've kind of given up on doing art right now. For now, I'm just, I don't know.
I'm just kind of like doing the first layer of this painting kind of thing, and then I'll paint. Once this dries, I can paint more stuff in. You kind of have to layer these things so they just don't look right. Or you end up, like, if I were to draw a bunch of stuff in here, then I'd have to paint around it, which is a pain in the ass. So it's better to just lock it in first and then paint that stuff over it.
Oh, is that new brush that you got recently?
But yeah, it's pretty new. And nice. I had to, like, all my brushes were too hard. And they weren't, like, I couldn't get the paint to, like, flow on them. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, my
Had to get
brushes
some-
are shot. I gotta get
I
some.
had
new
to get,
brushes.
I had to get some softer brushes that would, like, just kind of like flow the paint on there better than some of the harder brushes. It's just like, it's like drawing with chalk, kind of, almost.
Oh, I know the oil painting brushes. I'm not really that crazy about what they consider oil painting brushes. I like to use watercolor brushes with oil paint personally.
I got these ones. They're Velva Touch, Princeton Velva Touch, and they're supposedly, the lady at the store said you can use them for oils, and they're not, it's not going to deteriorate the brush too fast. And so far, they're actually holding up pretty well. I've been
That's good.
surprised. Like, some of my stiffer oil paint brushes are like get wrecked faster than these ones so far.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I have to clean the studio better and find my brushes and see what's going on. But I don't know.
Mhm.
I just I don't know. I did start doing, did I tell you about the Vita Austin thing with the painting from last week? Oh, last week, that painting that I did after I got off the call, I watched this video and I'm like, oh, this is this lady. So I sent it to her.
Oh yeah.
I watched this video. It was a video from one of Dr. Andy's conferences, and she
Uh-huh.
talks to water. She shows that water has memory.
Communicates.
Yeah, and communicates. And so then I ended up deciding to try it out, and I got a petri dish and I started talking to water, and I started getting these amazing images from water. So maybe that will be part of my new, I don't know, but it's pretty cool. You just
Okay.
put a little bit of water in a petri dish and put it in the, ask it a question or something and put it in the freezer, and then the way it freezes is incredible.
Mhm.
Incredible. I mean, it doesn't make any sense because you're just putting it in a level. You know what I mean? It's nonsensical. It's not like, again, it's nature. It's not
Mhm.
like you can come up with that in a computer program. Don't give me that crap. I'm not buying into
Right.
that.
Oh yeah,
It's
you can
definitely
program
nature.
a thing for water to communicate.
Rock on, Cabal. Have a good life. Oh my God. Yes, crazy. Yeah, you could program that. It was funny. I know, it's so insane. No, but she showed some amazing stuff in her video, and then I realized that the painting that I had done was of her, so I sent it to her. But that was
Mhm.
cool. That was my own little vignette into it. But then it was just like, oh, I need to try this. So I have been playing around with that.
Mhm.
So I've just figured, eventually I'll come up with some new thing to do for next year's show.
Yeah.
The question is, are we going to try and do a conference?
I don't know. I think we need to maybe set up some meetings with Jeff and get this thing planned out so we can start early with getting people interested in tickets sold or whatever we have to do, to accomplish the goal. Having
Yes.
a conference or whatever.
Yep. Yep. If we want to do it, we're going to have to really
Mhm.
make an effort. that ray of sun is still there, by the way. You gotta look at this. I'm telling you, when you, it's trippy. And the John Lennon thing in the background too. Oh God. What did you do? Was that the light?
I think that's just the light. I had a light lamp on.
Oh, so it wasn't a ray
There's
of
still
sun.
a little bit of ray of sun coming in.
Oh, it was the light that I saw. Oh,
it's
that's
just-
the
yeah,
light.
it's the lamp. Sorry to disappoint you.
Oh well. Oh well, but it looks really weird.
That is weird. Well, I had the lamp on because it's just like so cloudy that it's not as bright up here as normal. Let's see what I'm doing a little better.
Okay. Well, it's weird. It looks really weird, like somehow. Still, it's pretty cool.
Well, that's the weird thing about light is it actually is particles, photon little things.
Yeah, can't you just program that into your computer? Sorry. Oh my God.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
one of the parameters of my virtual reality.
It just is. I mean, I guess we'll never escape from this. People that want to believe that the mind of the human is the alpha and the omega.
Mhm.
Like people that just can't handle having a mystery be in charge.
Mhm.
So they will always want to make it
I don't think
into.
it is a mystery though, because if you study natural law, you uncover the mystery that there's our natural, parameters within our reality that are operating, even seen and unseen.
Well, what I mean by the mystery is that it's unpredictable how it's going to express itself.
Or maybe it
can't.
isn't unpredictable. Maybe it is predictable. It's just most people don't understand the behavioral requirements in order for the desired condition to manifest. So, like people like us are trying to spread the word to the sheeple. Hey, look, we do have rights. There is natural law, and all this stuff. We do need to care about things, but we're a minority. So our desired conditions aren't manifest because we're such a minority. We understand that we have the conditions required for manifesting what we want into human civilization, but most people don't. So we're getting garbage in, garbage out. So we have, the situations we're in now.
Well,
Right.
I guess
if you think that your rights come from government and governing entities, and that when you cross over a border into another region, that your rights automatically switch to this new rule set of rights because of the governing entity, that is a problem that you're not going to get. You're not necessarily going to live in accordance to philosophical, or objective, not philosophical, objective morality, because you're going to be confused as to what the morality is coming from. If you're like, oh, it's not coming from my conscience and my nature, my discernment as a sentient being to understand right versus wrong, that you know, if that changes when you go over here and over there, then that's confusing. And it's like, so people are confused. We're confused as to like what is and what isn't. It's like that whole, when we were talking about truth versus perception. It's like we're living in a perception instead of living in truth. As a whole of humanity.
Yep. Yeah, maybe. Because yeah, people need to know, people need to be educated. I mean, I'm sure I wonder if there was ever a time when the majority of people understood natural law.
Yeah, I don't know. Hard to say. I would say there probably was, maybe. Maybe the time of innocence that you were referring to.
Yeah. Yep. The time of innocence.
Looks like when these like spiritual like gurus and stuff like that are like, oh, do you want to learn how to be a better person? Observe the children. You know, because they're like, they have that, they're still in that kind of innocent space. It's like, I feel like in some ways that's why my kids are afraid of insects. It's not necessarily that they're afraid of the insect, they're almost afraid of killing the insect, you know, because it's in their space. They'd rather you know, me like pick it up and put it outside than them having to take the courage to pick it up and put it outside themselves. You know, it's like, even though they know, they're like, oh, this is just a harmless beetle, it just, I don't know, infringing on that beetle's life or, you know, path is like kind of scary to them as a child, you know.
Hmm. Yep. I don't know. That's interesting. I mean,
Right?
I wonder what makes them. I wonder if we were different as adults, would they ever have to leave that state? You know what I mean?
I don't know. Yeah. Like, what takes you from that state of innocence into the state of being an adult where you're not? I think it maybe is just part of that. It's that human nature. It's just like through experience, you're trained either to, you know, be aggressive towards something or be gentle towards something. You know, like you're scared of a spider, so your father or mother taught you to just kill it to get it out of your space. Well, you know, maybe the first 10 times you kill a spider, you kind of like, you might be a little sad, or maybe you're scared to do it, or, you know, but once you've done it 20 times, you're like, oh, no big deal. It's like, because you have that experience just like that. When you have exposure to something, it's like, I'm like, oh, I'm pretty good at Photoshop or whatever. So I've had a lot of exposure to it. Whereas like someone else is like, I have no idea. Like I open up that software and like I'm completely lost, you know. It's just you haven't had enough exposure to it. You know, you didn't learn how to walk in the snap of a finger. You know, it took a while.
Right. So in other words, like once you learn how to do things, then they become rote, and then you start to have less innocence about things.
Yeah, exactly. And then I'm not saying that you can't unwrite certain those things and rewrite them into different, you know, like I used to be more mindless about killing insects, like just not like caring about it. But now I'm just like, I don't want to harm them. So I'm just going to like go put them outside, which could effectively harm them depending on what the weather's like. But like, in a lot of situations, it's probably they're going to have a better chance of surviving outside anyways, because there's going to be more opportunities for them to get food that they're supposed to eat because they're out in their environment where they came from. So, so yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting thing. I mean, because now children, that age of innocence is corrupted so much earlier
Mm-hmm.
and so much more violently now that there's all these weird things happening
Mm-hmm.
to them, like they're being targeted.
Yeah.
Their innocence is being targeted. I'm sure that's been going a long time, but it seems like it's way worse now than it was when I was growing up. Like I could
Well, the
never.
exposures, everything's, the information is like, is coming in a lot faster than it used to. There's a lot of information out there and it's just coming in really fast, and like kids are getting exposed to things much sooner than, like, I mean, I was just thinking the other day, if like my daughter's sitting there watching something on her iPad, and I was like in the car while we're driving, you know, and I'm like, God, like when I was a kid, I used to just like wish that that was a technology that you could do that with, you know. But no, now my kids have it, and it's just like weird, you know.
Yeah,
Like
right.
when I
We
was
used to
like
count
when I was a
license.
kid, my you know, my entertainment was the window, you know,
Yeah, counting license plates, man, or whatever. Like
right?
states.
Which we still do some of that stuff, or we play I Spy, or you know what, you know, the car games and stuff like that. But like, you know, it's just weird. It's like,
Yep, it's weird.
but just the fact that I even had the desire for a portable TV back then is weird.
Right. Well, that makes sense, doesn't it?
That says something about the programming that's happening. Or it also talks about, back to our subject of time and as a spiritual currency. It's like, if all of our, it seems like if a human has all of its basic needs taken care of, it would rather just spend its time and attention on entertainment, like whether that's TV or sports, or, you know, whatever it could be defined as entertainment. It's like, if all the basic needs are met, then it's down to entertainment after that. And entertaining the mind of that being, whether it's constructive entertainment or destructive entertainment, doesn't really as long as the being's entertained, it doesn't, maybe that could be like an infringement on the care principle too. Like if you don't care about your world, you're just going to ignore it and go off into like video game land where you just, that's like your whole life is just playing video games. And then maybe you have to work, but you just go like the whole time you're at work, you're just like thinking about when you're gonna, what game you're gonna play when you get home, or how you're gonna beat the next level that you were struggling with the day before, or whatever that scenario looks like.
Right.
And even I do it with like when there's, crazy nonsense going on in the world, I shut that part of the world out a lot of times and just live in my own bubble where it's like the bubble where none of that scary nonsense on the news exists.
Well, right. I mean, there was a time when we didn't have news.
Yeah. We didn't know
Things were a lot simpler.
that like
But
this
again,
stuff
that's
was
the
happening.
innocence.
And the thing is now that we have the news, the problem now is knowing whether that's real or not.
Or if it was
Especially,
ever.
yeah, exactly. It's like they could stage something in Hollywood, basically, like they do in the movies, run it on the news, and just because it's on the news, people are like, "Oh, that's real. That really happened. That's real." But it could be completely fake. I'm not saying necessarily is or isn't, but it could be. Or it could be a blend of both. Like, here's some real stuff that happened. Here's a bunch of fake stuff that happened.
Right. I mean, was
You
there
gotta wonder
a
sometimes.
false flag yesterday?
I don't know. Like I heard
I heard
about
something
my
about
mother-in-law said something happened, and I haven't really looked into
Chicago.
it. So, yeah.
So I mean, see, I'm not gonna find out about it.
I
'Cause I
mean,
know what
but
they're-
like it's like some of these things. It's like how could they be real or could they not be real? Or like even like the neighborhood, like even if you go to the actual location where it happened, that might not matter because all they have to do is put up some police tape and tell a story of what happened in an area, whether it happened or not, and then have some actors that come and mourn their lost ones, or however that looks. And then you trick the community right at the community into believing it. And some of it, some of these things could be are real too, and that they're like stuff actually does happen, and that the community recognizes it, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. Sometimes it's just the focus too of the news. It's like they're focusing on the stuff that's going to put fear inside of people instead of the stuff that's going to influence like love and acceptance towards each other.
We're at the top of the hour.
Top of the hour.
So I'm going to have to
do
something.
Soon, so we're going to fail here.
I'm going to do something. There's something I have to do because Mark's server went down or something, and I have to reset the FileZilla. I don't remember what it is, but I will try to figure it out so that I can upload this video.
One great work stuff. Okay.
Cool. I did do last week, but still,
I saw that.
Still, you
I
have
to do the thing too on my end, the allow embedding.
Oh, okay.
I remember to do that.
All righty.
So, but yeah, that was a fun conversation. considering we're both dead tired and didn't want to really do it. Happens sometimes.
Yeah.
And,
We'll
but
bounce back soon.
I'd say it was successful. Let me see if I can find it. We talked about time, spending time, paying attention. So next week we're going to talk about looks like we can talk about natural law and some of the AKAs, some of the sayings and different things that can be basically are describing natural law. And then we're also going to probably get into natural law expressions, which is going to last for a while because there's quite a few steps to how natural law expresses into reality from our decisions we make in the mental plane, and then it's expressed into the physical plane. There's a lot of, so that might last for several weeks to get through all those expressions. Yeah, we look forward to seeing you next week. We hope that you want to come and join our conversation. Tell us when we're wrong and tell us when we're right.
Woohoo.
All right. We'll talk to you next week
Sounds
or
good.
soon, Joanna.
All right. Sounds good.
Signing off.